Hello guys, welcome back again to another sewing tutorial on this channel. If you're stopping here for the first time, thank you so much. You're absolutely welcome. In today's video, we'll be learning how to make a corset top with a stylish pleated sleeve. If this is what you're interested in learning, kindly watch the video to the end and don't forget to like, subscribe. Please guys, like and share the video. So guys, let's get started. Okay guys, we'll go ahead and prep the pattern for this style illustration. On my work table I have a partially drafted basic block. I say partially drafted because I don't have all the details in it, just a simple waist that. I'll highlight what each line represents. This is a chest line, bust line, under bust, the waistline, and the full measurement of your corset top representing the hip line. So I'll go ahead guys and contour the under bust. What I have on the under bust line, the dart intake there is just half an inch. So I'm going to make it up to 2 inches. So I will evenly distribute 0.75 on both sides. 0.75 times 2 is 1.5 plus the half an inch, making it 2 inches. Okay guys, so if I place my meter rule there, I'm having 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and link this point down to the hip line. I will just like draw a straight line from on both sides. Okay, I'll draw a straight line on the side, or the other side rather, and then I'll go ahead and use my curvy rule to contour it to the bust point. So with this, we'll have done the under bust contouring. Okay, so I'm just using the curvy part of my roll to curve it to the bust points. So guys, the next thing to do is the over bust contouring. We're done with the under bust contouring. So for the over bust contouring, the off shoulder is 6 inches from the shoulder line. You can see that the shoulder line, I'm not taking the measurement from the slant, I'm taking directly from the shoulder. I came down by 6 inches. After taking an accurate measurement, I'll go ahead and use my pattern master to draw a straight line. Okay, so if you can also use your meter rule to establish the straight line. So the next thing I'll do is to mark my bust to bust, my half bust span, which is 4 inches, and then I'll link it to what I have down there, which is on the bust line, okay, to meet it up. So for the over bust, I'll be contouring by 1.5, which is marking 0.75 on both sides. Okay, there are several ways you can do this. You can mark 1 inch on one side and half an inch on the other side, or you can choose to contour this way, sharing the 1.5 inches evenly, distributing it evenly on both sides. So it depends on what works for you. So guys, having done this, I'll go ahead and establish my neck depth. The neck depth, I'll be working with 7.5. Okay, so depending on how deep you want, if you want it deeper than this, you can go ahead and use 8 inches, 8.5 inches, 9 inches, depending on how revealing you want your neckline. So at this point, I was trying to get the actual pattern that would give me the neckline that I want. So I'll go ahead and link this to the armhole as well. Okay guys, having done this, I'll go ahead and take my measurement, bust line measurement, replacing the dart intake on that chest line. I'm going to be placing the quarter of my bust measurement, the seam allowance as well. I'll do the same for the waist. You can also do the same for your under bust. It's actually nice that your under bust is also fitting. So I'll do the quarter of my waist, then replace the dart intake of 2 inches and then seam allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll do the same for the hip. I'll take the quarter of my hip, the dart intake on that particular area, and then you see the seam allowance. Okay guys, thank you so much. At this point, I'll go ahead and link the points together as you can see me doing. Okay guys, I'll just simply go ahead and use a more comfortable roll to create the curve, linking it from the waist to the hip line as you can see me doing. So the next thing guys is to create the demarcation on the chest line. Since this is not a bustier top, it's a corset top, on the chest area I'll go in by half an inch. On a spread is 1 inch. If you do 0.75, you get 1.5 inches. So I'll redraft the neckline and then link this point towards the underbust to create the cup. On the other side as well, I'll be using the radius of my underbust to create the other side of the cup, but I would advise that you add 1 inch so your bust can sit pretty. If your bust here, you add 1.5 inches and then link it up to the chest line as you can see me doing. Okay, this is not compulsory, just know your measurement, know what works for you, but I would advise that you add 1 inch to it. Okay guys, So proceeding towards the hip area, on this point I'm going to be curving by 2.5 inches. I'll mark 2.5 inches here, and then I'll curve it towards one of the dart legs. Okay guys, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the dart intake for the front using the front pattern to draft my back pattern. Okay, just cut out the dart intake. So what I'm doing here is highlighting the major lines. The major lines I highlighted is the over bust, the chest line, the waist, and the hip. So I removed the front pattern and then linked this line towards the zip line. The zip this thing will have on the zip line. I created my zip pattern by 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches depending on what works for you. So what I have there is 1.5. My zip intake is 1.5. So on this point, I'm going to be going in by half an inch to eliminate the zipper bulge. I'll be linking it up towards the over bust line, and also link this other one down towards the hip line. Okay, this is just to snatch anything that will create bulginess at the back. Sometimes when you zip up, you see this bulginess. So the half an inch I removed is just to eliminate that bulginess at the back of your top. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place back my front pattern, having snatched the zipper bulge, and then redraft the front pattern on the back pattern. It's just very easy. You can go ahead and redraft if you want, but this is much easier, and to save us a lot of time drafting the back pattern, I'm just trying to manage time here. So I went ahead to place the dart intake, which is 4 half bust span. This is just a simple waist that I'll be doing here, or the contrary, you can go ahead and also cut it out completely, but I'll just create a waist dart here. Okay, you can go ahead and do something else, as in to cut this pattern out completely so that you can do 1 or 2 depending on what you want. But I don't want this tutorial to be too complex, so I'll just go ahead and put a simple waist that's for the back pattern. Otherwise, there are other ways you can actually create your back pattern to actually give you what you want. Okay, so what I simply did here is to replace the dart intake on the waistline by 1 inch, and then link up the points together. Okay, so guys, then for the neckline, I'll come down by 1 inch, and then just a little curve around the neckline so it doesn't look too straight. You can go deeper than this, so I just linked it up this way. This is just a simple pattern for the back. I'll go ahead and cut out the pattern as you can see me doing. Okay guys, I simply used the pattern we drafted to cut out the main fabric and the lining. This is the front pattern. This is also the corset cup, the main fabric and the lining for the cup. Then the back pattern as well, main fabric and the lining. So for the cup, I added half an inch round. For the main fabric, which is the front pattern, I added half an inch, excluding the side front I didn't add, but the hemline half an inch, the center front half an inch. So this is the back pattern. I also have the main fabric and the lining. You can see that the zipper area, there's no seam allowance, but on the other side we have zip allowance. The zipper and the side back, no seam allowance. Okay guys, I'm just going to give you a tip on how I'm going to be joining the front panels together. So this is on a spread. This is the mid front. You can see that I've joined them together, and then I'll simply go ahead and also join it to the side front on one side. I'm using my pin to secure this, guys, and then on the other side as well, I will just put it on a spread and then join the other side. But I'm just showing you guys, I will first of all stabilize this fabric. I'll use an interfacing to stabilize this fabric before joining, but I just wanted to show you guys what the joining of the panels will look like. Okay, so I'll take it to my sewing machine and then join the panel. So as you can see, I've stabilized the fabric first before joining, and after joining I relaxed my seam. I gave it a good press. I did the same for the lining as well. You can see that I didn't have much interfacing. I had to patch it up to stabilize this fabric. So in other words, I couldn't stabilize the cup. Okay, I didn't stabilize the cup, so I'll just be using the main fabric this way and the lining this way. But for the front pattern and the back pattern, I stabilized both the main fabric and the lining. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to join the cup, before doing this, I'm going to be letting you guys know that it's important that you stabilize your cup. This is just a tutorial. It's going to kind of help you get your perfect finishing. Okay, so I'm going to be joining the panels on both cups this way. Okay, I'll do the same to the other side and the lining as well. So I've joined, this is the cup, I've joined the panels, and then I relaxed the seam to give me that neatness. Okay, so this is for the main fabric, and then this is the lining. Okay, don't forget that I mentioned that you should stabilize your cup, both the main fabric and the lining, to give it this stability. Okay, what I'll simply do next is to run my boning. This is a Regilene bone, and then I went ahead and ironed it so that it can just remain flat. Okay, try and give it that good press so that it won't be curvy. So I'm going to be securing this bone using the seam allowance. Okay, I'm not going to be stitching it directly on the main fabric. It's more or less creating an invincible boning. So I'll be using the seam allowance on both sides to secure my Regilene bone. Just wherever I place my bone, I'll be using my seam allowance to secure it. So stitch your Regilene bone to the seam allowance on both sides. That is why I'm touching it. I didn't stitch it directly. If I turn my fabric, you won't see any stitches in front, so it's more like an invincible boning. Okay, so I'm going to be turning it so that we can see. You can see that there are no stitches on the front part of the main fabric, simply because I secured the Regilene bone using my seam allowance. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to place my cup. I'm going to be stitching the cup, attaching the cup to the front panel. I'm just trimming out an excess fabric I have there. So I'll go ahead and use my pin, secure it, and then stitch it round. Okay, so I'll secure this part as well, and then I'll stitch it. Okay, so I'll take it to my sewing machine off the camera and stitch it just like the way I'm showing you guys. Okay. Okay guys, haven't done it. This is what we have. You can see that there's no rigidity on the cup simply because I did not stabilize it. It's just looking flappy. Okay, it's not standing firm. So I intend to use this wording to stabilize my cup. So you can see that I cut out this wording using the cup pattern without any seam allowance round. I didn't attach it. I didn't add any seam allowance round it. Okay, so I'll go ahead. I cut is a double wording, so I'll use my gum to secure it to join the the upper and the lower parts. I'll just use my gum to thicken the wording rather, because I cut each panel into two. I cut the other one into two. After that, I'll use an overlocking stitch to secure the panels together. Okay, so I'll say it again. I use the double layer for each panel to thicken it. Okay, so for each panel you have like a double layer secured with a gum, a B6000 glue gum. So I'll go ahead and place my cup so at least I can stabilize to give my cup this firmness. Okay, so I'm going right there. I'm using my pin to secure the each one cup to one part of the corsets. Okay, so after securing it, I'll go ahead and tack it. You can do hand tacking, or you can take it to your sewing machine and tack it. Not necessarily stitching around, just tack it. But at the end of the day, I'll trim out the excess, sticking into my seam allowance. So this is the cup. At some point, I had to also use a glue to secure the cup to the warding. Okay, because the main fabric was kind of still giving some kind of movement since it wasn't stabilized, so I had to use the B6000 gum to like glue it to just on the seam line, not necessarily everywhere, so it doesn't look messy. Like glue it to the cup itself. So the next thing I'll do is to attach the sleeve. I'll be attaching my sleeve from my bustier line. You can see the bustier line there. I'll be placing my sleeve not on the armhole. I'll be starting from the bustier line where you can see my hand, and then I'll run it towards the armhole, so you can take that measurement. For the back pattern, you can see that the off shoulder is down by 6. I'll also be placing my sleeve from my few inches away from my bustier line, which is the dart line, running from up there down this way. So you can take that measurement and triple it by 2 or triple it by 3. Okay, so this is the fabric I'll be using for the sleeve. Guys, you know that the off shoulder is 2 inches, 6 inches I meant to say, so we're expected to have like 12 inches plus 1 inch for the same allowance, which is half an inch on both sides. So I'm having a length of 13 and a width of 22. The width of 22 means I will just split it into, it's not the actual measurement of the armhole, is the armhole plus whatever you start from times 2. Remember I told you take your measurement from where your sleeve will start down to your armhole. So I'm going to do that detailed measurement times 2 times 3, depending on how much effect you want to create. So I have here 22 inches for the width, and the length I have 13 inches, which is 6 plus 6, 12 plus additional 1, which is half an inch above and below. So I'll use the lining to turn it up. I'll cut the same pattern on the lining, and then I'll use my lining to turn it up before we proceed to the next stage. Okay, so right here I'm just trying to get the measurement for the width. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, is 22, and then this is the lining I'll be using to turn it up. Okay. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've been able to turn this sleeve up off camera. I turned the side and then I left the upper side. The width, I turned the length, okay? And then the upper side, which is the width area, upper and below, I just top stitched it because that is where I'll be using to attach to the front pattern on the back. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to be placing this point where I want my sleeve to start from. I'm going to be securing it with a pin, as you can see, and then I'll take the other side and then I'll place it like this. This is where the sleeve will end, and then I'll also secure it with a pin as well. So what I'll simply do here is to gradually pleat whatever I have here into the opening that is left. So if you pleat here, gradually go to the other side so that you distribute these pleats evenly. You don't have pleats more on one side and then less pleats on the other side. So you can see me, when I pleat this point, I'll go to the other side and pleat as well. So I'll continue doing this till I exhaust whatever it is that I have that will accommodate that space I have there. So I'll keep pleating, pleating, pleating till everything is finished. Okay guys, so at this point I'm done pleating with the front, so I'll go ahead and pleat it to the back. Remember that I have not used my lining yet. I've not lined the top, I've not lined the front or the back. I'm just attaching the sleeve first. So this is the back pattern, and this is exactly where I want the sleeve to start from, before the armhole, few inches before the armhole, and then few inches, just maybe like 1 inch or half an inch away from the dart. I'll just split it into the armhole just like I did for the front. So I've attached the sleeve to the front pattern and then to the back pattern. So having done this, the next thing I'll simply do is to line it. Okay, so more or less we want to achieve an inseam finishing. So I'm going to be using my lining. You can see the way I placed this. I'm going to be lining the front. This is the front lining. You can see that I placed the back pattern inwards with the sleeve inwards. So I'm going to be using the lining. I'll place this lining like so, and then I'm going to be stitching the side, stitching the neckline completely, stitching the side and few inches on the hip, on the hemline, and then I'll turn it. Okay, after doing this, I also do the same for the back. Whatever thing I did for the front, I also do for the back. Okay, so I'm going to be opening this up so that you can see, guys, what I did. You can see that I've been able to line the sleeve, use the lining to cover the side, and then so part of the hemline, leaving a hole opening for turning. So this whatever thing I did, the stitching on the hemline will act as a guide for me to hem, do a tuck in and then a top stitch. So this is the back pattern as well. This is a little opening for turning. I'm going to be tucking it inwards and then top stitching it. So you can see that stitching some part of the hemline will kind of give you a guide and a help to top stitch, to tuck it in and then top stitch neatly. Okay, so this is just a few opening, the small opening I did for the back pattern and then the front pattern to enable me to turn up. So I'll go ahead and place my zip. Okay, so when you plating your creating your zip, ensure that you stitch your zip allowance and then give it a good press before you place your zip. So this is my zip. I've placed the zip neatly, so I'll go ahead and join the front to the back, place the body measurement. Ensure that you place this front to the back, right sides facing each other. I'll use my measuring tape to mark the bust measurement. Also place your under bust measurement for fitting of the cup area, your waist, and then your hip, and then we're good to go. You run your stitch. So you'll be using half of your round body measurement, not the quarter. Okay, so half your body measurement, you place it there on the bust, the under bust, the waist, and then the hip, and then this is the finishing of our corset top. You can see the way it's looking, the inseam finishing, everything is just right in place. Okay, so if you're sewing with me, ensure that you use your own measurement, not necessarily the measurement I'm using. For the off shoulder, you can come down. 6 is not a standard. You can make use of 7 inches or 8 inches depending on your round armhole or whatever works for you. Okay, so thank you so much guys for watching to the end. Please don't forget to subscribe. Support me by subscribing, like, and share my video. I'll really appreciate you guys if you help me boost the engagement of this channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing my video. Thank you so much for watching guys. I'll see you in my next tutorial. God bless you guys and have a blessed day ahead. Thank you so much.